Hey, it's Miss Elizabeth from her garden again, and I'm back for another story with you guys this week. Hope you enjoyed our story last time, and if not, you can always go back and catch it. It was all about tulips. And I promised at the end of that one that this time we would talk about seeds. So we've got a story this morning about planting a seed. We're gonna go take a tour of Miss Leanne's seedlings that have started to grow. And then I'm going to show you some different ideas of how you can start some seeds at your house to watch to grow. So let's go. Splat the cat. Oopsie daisy. It was almost springtime. The weather was getting warmer, but the sky was still gray and rainy. Splat thought being stuck inside was a waste of a Saturday afternoon. Splat perked up when a sopping wet Seymour scurried into his room. Seymour was carrying a weird-looking seed. "Where did you get that?" asked Splat. Seymour held up the seed and stared at it. Then he shrugged. "I wonder what kind of seed it is," said Splat. "It could be anything." "Well, there's only one way to solve this mystery, Seymour. Let's see if we can make it grow." "I think we need to plant it first," said Splat. "But I've never planted anything before. Do you know how to plant a seed?" Seymour shrugged. "Okay, then let's go to the library to find out," Splat announced. Splat and Seymour walked straight to the library to look for a book about gardening. The only problem was that there was so much information. Splat wanted to grow one seed, not a whole field of corn. After staring at the shelves for a long time, Splat finally asked the librarian. She was happy to help him find the perfect book. The book said the first step was getting a pot and filling it with soil. Not all the soil landed in the pot. It landed on Seymour. Next, Splat planted the seed in the dirt. He set the flower pot on a sunny windowsill, and then he watered the soil. And not all of the water went into the pot. There it is on Seymour again. Splat checked the flower pot every day. He hoped and hoped for any sign of a sprout. He wondered what kind of a plant it would be. I wonder what it's going to be. Maybe the seed would grow into a wild garden of roses. Or maybe the seed would grow as tall as the sky. What do you think it's going to grow into? Splat couldn't wait to see what grew. He sang to the seed, he read to the seed, and he told it stories. For 2 whole weeks, Splat waited and waited for the seed to do something. Still nothing, huh? Splat was ready to give up. Maybe the seed would never sprout. Feeling terribly disappointed, he watered the soil one last time, just in case. The dirt in the pot shifted a little when Splat added water. A tiny green sprout sprang up. Splat cheered loudly, but quickly shut his mouth. He didn't want to scare the little plant back into the soil. Seymour looks a little scared. During the next week, the sprout grew a few straggly leaves. Splat was thrilled when a few days later, a bud appeared atop the stem. The next day, the bud opened and a bloom blossomed. It wasn't a wild jungle plant or a many-colored rose or a tall, tall tree. It was a flower, a little daisy flower, and Splat knew just who to give it to. "I love it," said Mom. "It's the most special flower ever." Splat smiled as he hugged his mother. "I grew it myself," Splat said, with a little help from Seymour. The end.
Hi, I'm Leanne Keneally, and I'm a propagator and research technician at the J.C. Ralston Arboretum, and I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about seedlings today. This is my greenhouse. I've got a lot of grafted plants in here, but I also really love seedling production, especially for my own vegetable garden in the spring. So here are some of my seedlings. We have a bunch of little red vein sorrel here, which I really love because you can see that red veination that gives it its name really early on, pretty much as soon as they germinate. I really love sorrel. It's really great on salads and just as like a garnish in general. But a lot of these are tomatoes, eggplants, and peppers. I started these about 3 weeks ago. I start those first because they take the longest. And I like to sow things in community pots all together like this. And then once they get to this stage where they have maybe their first true leaf, or the leaf that looks like what it's going to be when it's an adult, like this, these are the cotyledons that come out first, and then these are the true leaves that look like a real tomato leaf. So once they're at this size, I take them out to my workbench. Sorry, everything's a mess. And I separate them out like this into their own little individual plants. This is one called Cherry Bomb. They're sort of a darker cherry tomato that I really love. And yeah, you can just separate them out. Make sure you get as much of the root system as you can in there. And then I sometimes use a pencil and then I just tuck that guy in there. There you go. And I guess a couple weeks from now, with some fertilizer, he will be ready to go out in my vegetable garden. That's a mess right now. And have fun gardening.
Thanks, Leanne. It's really fun to see what she's got growing in her garden. Right now, my girls and I started some beans and some peas. There's some zucchini, and we've got some cucumbers. And we've got a few things, like you can tell, that are still popping up. These are some peas that are still popping up. Now, what you can do, if you have any seeds at home, and even if you don't have some seeds, I'm going to show you some different ways that you can start some seeds and watch them grow, just like Splat did. So this, does anybody recognize what this is? Without the toothpicks. This is an avocado seed. We just had some guacamole this week, and so we saved the pit, the seed that's inside the middle of the avocado, and we're going to try to see if we can get it to grow. And the way that you've probably seen this before is just stick some toothpicks, not too far in there, but just enough to catch it. And just make sure that bottom, see how it's got a little different coloration to the bottom? Make sure that bottom touches the water, and we'll see if we can get some roots to sprout from there and make an avocado grow. Another thing that you can do is, if you have any seeds, we saved these from some marigolds last year, or if you've gone to the store and you have some seed packets, you can also plant those type of seeds. And if you haven't been to the store and have no seeds, there's other things that you can save the seeds from. Think about like the peppers that you eat, maybe for dinner, or if you've got some dried beans in the kitchen pantry, you can also use some of those as well. All right, so like Miss Leanne had, she had some community pots that she had started seeds in. If anybody's been eating some strawberries, strawberry containers will be a lot of fun. Meredith, you wanna fill that up with some dirt, some soil? And what we're gonna do is we're gonna start some marigolds in there. So we'll take some of these marigold seeds, and you can see real up close with these seeds, like one of these is a seed, and so there's a whole bunch of seeds in my hand right now, and you can also see some of the dried petals from last year too. But what we're gonna do, Meredith just filled that almost full, and so we're just gonna sprinkle some of these seeds, not all of those, that would be a lot of plants, right? We're gonna sprinkle some seeds in there, sort of move them all around, and then she's gonna put another layer of dirt just on the soil right on top of there. And this is fun if you have a strawberry container, because it makes almost like a little mini greenhouse. We'll give it a little bit of water, and then you can close it, and it makes sort of like a little greenhouse that you can start to see the seeds. And once they start to germinate, you'll have to let the top come open so that you can let the seeds grow taller. And like Miss Leanne did with her tomatoes, once they get a little bit bigger and have that first adult or true leaf on them, you can put them into different containers, like individual containers. Just remember, there's holes in the bottom of your container, so if you water it on the kitchen counter, make sure that you're going to catch the water, right? Another recycled container that you might have a lot of right now at home. It's your eggs. After you've had lots of scrambled eggs or made lots of cakes, what you can do is you can put some soil into that. And for this one, I thought we might put some basil. We love basil in my house. You guys might like basil in your house too, but we love basil here. So, and basil seeds, this is another fun thing with seeds, is seeing all the different types, because that's why Spot didn't know what he had. Basil seeds are really, really tiny. And since they're so tiny, that's why we're just gonna put maybe 2 in each one of these little containers here. And then we'll sprinkle just a little bit more dirt on top of what's in there. And this one you probably don't want to close because it's solid on top and you won't be able to see when the seeds are starting to come up. So you could even cut off the back top lid of the egg carton so it doesn't flops around. And then just remember with this one as well that this is probably going to soak through if you water it a whole lot. So just make sure you put it in a place in the kitchen that if the water leaks out, it's okay. Sunny locations and probably inside right now for both of these. We'll be able to start transition them outside because it's going to get warm the next couple of weeks and stay above that cool temperatures at night. We'll start to have some warmer temperatures at night. But see what kind of seeds that you can find in your house or around the kitchen, and then what kind of containers you have laying around that you can make into your own flour like Splat had, or some fun vegetables or herbs that you can use later on when you're cooking. Have fun!